Sports. We are Blackmore. We are MC.
The Beantown curse is unfortunately still alive. The Royals haven't won a game here at Fenway since 2013. Tonight, they turn to their young fireballer to reverse the curse. Royals baseball starts now. Academy Sports and Outdoors presents Royals baseball. Tonight from Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts is Game 3 of this series between the Royals and the Red Sox. Hi, everybody. Steve Physiak, Rex Elder with you. Boston has won the first 2 games of this series, and now the Royals hand the baseball to their young right-hander, Ace Ventura. And this is a guy who's put together 2 quality starts against Detroit and the Angels. You'd love to see him string together 3 in a row to keep that confidence building.
Yeah, Fizz, I don't think confidence has ever been an issue for Ventura. He's a very young, talented pitcher. He knows the weapons he possesses. However, now it goes a little deeper than that today. After Cueto couldn't get his pitches over where he wanted to last night, Ventura, being the ace of this staff coming out of spring training, has the chance to be that ace tonight. And he will get that spot again later in his career, but he's doing it all by staying out of the middle of the plate with that fastball. Every hitter is looking for that heater, and when he brings in the secondary pitches like that off the plate, it really messes up their timing. So, hopefully Ventura can do exactly what he did in the last 2 starts. That would suit Ned just fine.
And as we take a look at the key in the driver's seat, a lot of the success is what he has done with runners on base pitching from the stretch.
That's been the whole problem for Ventura most of the year. The previous 4 starts and before that, he can't stay out of the middle of the plate. Now he's figuring out with those guys like he did last year. He had some good numbers with runners in scoring position. What he's doing is he's still using his fastball, but he's placing it in better places. He's not down the middle with it, and he's bringing in his secondary pitches with runners out there. He has the confidence to do that. Hopefully he can execute those pitches tonight.
Well, he will take on a young Boston lineup that is on fire offensively.
Yes, you know what? This is the right man for this lineup. A hot team like this needs to be cooled off by the ace Ventura. But look at their numbers. I mean, heck, numbers don't lie. Anything out over the plate, they are not missing it. And they've got a couple of good-looking young players that are driving their bus.
Mookie Betts incredibly hot, 14 for his last 23. When we come back, we'll go inside the monster with Joel and Monte as the Royals try and reverse the Fenway curse.
2013. That's the last time the Royals won at Fenway. It was a doubleheader, and that was because of the Boston Marathon bombing. The day before they lost, and then they swept the doubleheader on a Sunday, finishing up with Lorenzo Cain, the bases-loaded walk to give them the lead in the 10th inning. And we take a look at these struggles. For whatever reason, they have struggled in American League East parks this year. Just one win coming in Toronto, have yet to win in Boston, and they were swept at Yankee Stadium. So maybe we can turn the luck around a little bit. And how about a different vantage point? Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery, Royals Hall of Famer, behind the monster, inside here, a unique perspective.
Very unique perspective, Joel. When you talk about this ballpark, a lot of special things here. Great place for fans to watch a ball game. Not a great place for the Royals so far this year to play. Hopefully tonight they change that.
How do they change that?
Well, I think one thing they may have to do is really kind of get back to basics. I think playing good fundamental baseball. We didn't see that last night. Hopefully we'll see it tonight.
Well, and if we do, we might see one of these hung up. This will be nice. Now, the yellow means that the inning is in progress, so maybe we'd see one of those, and hopefully it could turn into one of those. Maybe the Royals can put up a big crooked number on the Red Sox and turn their luck around. First pitch is coming up next here from historic Fenway Park. Biz and Hud have the call.
Gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by Chevy, visit your local Kansas City area Chevy dealers for great prices on all our new 2015 vehicles today. Also by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Welcome back to Fenway Park, where Kansas City is looking to avoid their first three-game losing streak since the end of July. Alcides Escobar, who hit a home run last night, will lead things off. Then Zobrist, Kane, Hosmer, Morales, and Moustakas back in the lineup.
Yeah, good to see that lineup in full. But you know what? I'm looking at Escobar. He's got one rabbit ear out. That's good. See, the batting glove's in the back pocket. Whenever you pull the batting glove out, sometimes the ear flops out. That's good for a knock in his first swing of the game.
Oh, I'm amazed at the way you read body language. Well, KC will face their fourth rookie starting pitcher in the last 5 games on this trip. And this young man's name is Matt Barnes, a 6'4" right-hander out of Bethel, Connecticut. He was Boston's first-round pick 2011 out of Connecticut, a rather high ERA. But this was a guy who had success down in the minor leagues, and they really believe in him. They're not sure if he'll be a starting pitcher or a reliever in his future.
Well, Fizz, he's been getting lit like a Christmas tree lately so far in 27 in the third innings. Hopefully the Royals can keep that going. Now defensively, -6 runs saved. That's not the best, but they got a good center fielder. He's really good. Their shortstop, Bogarts and Betts. Those two guys are really good players.
And the Royals are the best defensive team in the major leagues. They have the most defensive runs saved this year, and Escobar certainly has done his job defensively at shortstop. He did not like the first call by home plate umpire Hunter Wendelstadt, who happens to be the crew chief. And now he finds himself down in the count 0-2.
Well, the young man, Matt Barnes, he's more of the Royals' style of pitcher. Loves his fastball. He'll go 90 to 97 with that pitch. Averages around 94, 95.
And a line drive to the third baseman, Sandoval, for out number 1.
All right, that's a good sign. He loves that fastball. Okay, he's got a little running action on it. He's got a good curveball he likes too. He'll double up with that curve. He's got a changeup. So he's mainly a 3-pitch guy. His changeup will go 84 to 87. Curve, it's a big looper, 80 to 82.
Boston's first 2 starters, Miley and Owens, limited Kansas City to 3 runs in 15 1/3 innings. Miley, they said it was his best performance of the year, and the same for young Henry Owens. Here's Ben Zobrist. He goes after the first pitch, fouls it off, strike 1.
Straight as a string so far, that heater. If he's out over the middle, hopefully the Royals will be ready for it.
Well, he is ready to throw strikes. He's jumped ahead of Escobar and Zobrist, both 0-2. He lost on Monday to Cleveland 8-2 in his first major league start, giving up 6 runs in 5 innings through 102 pitches in only 5. And then Zobrist smacks one to center field, but Betts is right there for the second out.
Two liners, 2 at-bats. Looks like he's got some long arm action. He's aggressive in the strike zone. Obviously throwing all fastballs so far. He wants to get ahead with that pitch. That's why you see Zobrist, who's a very patient hitter, swinging at that first pitch.
And here is Lorenzo Cain, who's 7th in the American League in batting at .306, but very accountable last night. He said, I played terrible. My defense was bad. I should have made a catch in center field, help out our starting pitcher. And he was really fired up coming into today's game.
You'd expect a nice rebound after that stinker last night.
Fouled back. Well, Barnes throws fastballs, and Cain loves fastballs, hitting over 370. 64% of the time he comes with that heater, but look at the opponent's batting average against it.
That's right. That's because it's straight.
And there's a base hit to right center field, so Cain has his first hit of this series.
Hey, he stayed with that curveball nicely. I mean, nothing but fastball so far from Barnes, and he tries his first curve, and Locane with a perfect swing. That's going to get him locked in. Go in the opposite field. He's going to get some more heaters now because he hit that curve, and that was a curve on the outer half of the plate, right where Barnes wanted it, and Locane met it perfectly.
Now Cain has 24 steals. What kind of move does Barnes have?
Well, Barnes, sometimes he has a tendency to rush his delivery, Fizz, with runners get on. There you go right there. How about that?
Well, he rushed it that time, and Cain will wind up at third base as Hosmer comes up with his second hit of this series.
Well, there's 2 outs, and we all know what the Royals do with 2 outs, so I'm not surprised. But watch this. Hosmer going with the pitch. Expecting a fastball, got it. Oh, isn't that a beautiful thing? A little 2-out run and hit placement there by Haas. Now they're waiting for one big swing here so they can get on the board first. I think it's important that they get out and get the early lead on this Red Sox team.
You mentioned the fact that the Royals have been a good 2-out hitting team this year. Well, nobody's been better than Kendrys Morales with runners in scoring position and 2 out. 42 of his 83 RBIs have come with 2 out, and his last RBI was the game-winning hit on Sunday when they beat the Angels in extras. And there's a smack to left field, but Ramirez tries to climb the wall. It bangs high off the wall. Cain scores. Here comes Hosmer to the plate. Ramirez's throw is not in time, and the Royals take the 2-0 lead on another 2-out hit by that man.
I knew it'd be a matter of time before they found the wall. And, you know, one of the reasons why they're minus in the run save department is because left fielder Hanley Ramirez, he knows better than to go chase that ball. He should have backed up off of that ball right there, played the hop, and at least kept it just to 1 run. So he played that into 2 runs.
Yeah, he was not even close.
No, that wasn't good at all. But how about Morales? Morales doing his thing. The Royals, I knew it'd be a different game tonight.
And it starts with 2 out. 2 out, nobody on. Kane singles to left. Hosmer singles to left. Or Kane singles to right. Hosmer singles to left. And then Morales bangs one off the green monster. 2-0 KC. And now Moose.
Hey, there's his first changeup. And it didn't go exactly like he wanted either. That ball came down and in. Had a little bit of tailing action. Actually, he cut that a little bit. That's a dangerous spot to throw it to Moose. He loves it down and in there.
The Royals have now outscored the opposition 90-42 in the first inning this year. 2 more RBIs for Kendrys Morales. That gives him 85. Still 3rd in the American League behind Donaldson of Toronto with 94 and Chris Davis of Baltimore with 89. 3-1.
That fastball again, Fizz. Straight as a string. Right what the Royals want. This young man, he's in trouble.
Moose got under it, pops it up behind home plate. Blake Swihart will make the catch, but again, 2 out. Base hits by Kane Hosmer, and Kendrys Morales has given KC a 2-0 lead.
And Ventura is going to toe that slab with a lead. He wants to hold it.
The Sox have scored in the first or second inning in each of their last 12 wins. But Betts will lead things off, then Sandoval, and then Bogarts, who's hitting .313. That's 6th best in the American League. David Ortiz has been hot until this series where the Royals have shut him out.
And Hanley Ramirez is 0 for his last 13. But everybody else been swinging a good bat, except to Ventura to shut them down with his weapons.
Last 2 starts for Giordano, a 1-0 record, a 1.38 ERA, just 2 earned runs in 13 innings. And he will start things against the ultra hot Betts, who is 14 for 23 against Kansas City this year. Absolutely on fire. It's hard to believe he's only hitting .275 for the season, the way he's wore out the Royals pitching.
Everybody knows Ventura's fastball, including the Red Sox. He's got a good one. He'll average 96 on it. We'll see some upper 90s action. Wants to establish that, try to keep it out of the middle if he can. Has a beautiful curveball, nice changeup, and he'll throw some occasional cutters. And since Johnny Cueto's been here, he'll do a few quick pitches after Cueto, but Dave Island, he says Ventura doesn't need a quick pitch.
Establishing the fastball early and coming inside on Betts, and you were saying they need to pitch him middle in rather than middle away. He's getting a lot of hits away in this series.
He's diving. That's what they call a right-handed batter that's diving into it, looking to go the other way, just like that.
It stays up for Alex Rios, but Betts squares it up again, but the result is an out. And how about the Royals' Ford defense?
How about him? Zobrist out in left field. He a different left field, though, than he's used to playing in Fenway. He has played out here before in left field.
He was out early, getting a gauge of that outfield wall, but he said he has played here a lot with the Tampa Bay Rays in the American League East. They would come here 8-9 times during the season. Pablo Sandoval accepting a 96-mile-an-hour fastball with great late light. And then he bangs one to left field and deep. Zobrist goes back and then plays it high off the wall. Sandoval will make it to second base.
Well, had Zobrist stayed on the warning track, he would have caught the ball off the wall and kept him from going to second. That's what you do. You try to stay up on that wall when you know a ball's hit like that. Okay, if he stays right there, he's going to catch it. Now watch, he knows he's not going to catch it, so he backs off, and he backs off a little bit too far. See, if he'd have stayed on that track and caught it on the fly, like Mike Greenwell, Yastrzemski, all those guys that know how to play that wall, he would have been able to keep him at first, or even thrown him out if he'd have went in there.
Yeah, a lot of the old timers we talked to said Carl Yastrzemski got a lot of his assists throwing runners out at second base, playing balls off that wall. And Yaz is celebrating birthday number 76 today. So happy birthday, Yaz. There's a strike. Xander Bogaerts, 10 hits on this homestand. He's upped his average to .313. And he leads all major leaguers since the end of May, hitting .340. Just 22 years old out of Aruba. What a talent.
Guarantee you run that cheese in there with a little hair on it like he's got. That'll back some of them hitters off. Believe me. That is a good, boring fastball. That ball had what hitters call hair on it.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the one they don't want to see. Sets up those off-speed pitches.
Ooh, great pitch right there. Inside corner, late life. And once again, he is pounding both Betts and the other right-hander, Xander Bogaerts, in.
With the hair on that fastball moving down, and he locates it there, they're going to have a tough time squaring it up. Bogart's been one of their best with runners in scoring position at .373. Execute.
And he tried to break off a breaking pitch. Misses down low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Royals have seen all kinds of tough offense from Boston the first 2 games of this series, losing by scores of 4-1 and 7-2. But they've seen that this year as Boston has beaten Kansas City 4 or 5 times, outscoring them 35-15. To right field, Rios. 2 outs. Sandoval will not go. And the Sox, we have been talking about how hot their offense has been recently. Since August 7th, they're batting .337, averaging close to 8 runs per game. They've hit 20 home runs. And how about their batting average with runners in scoring position, .373? That's brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
There's no question that they have the offense to compete in this American League, especially in the East. But it's been their starting pitching and their bullpen that has been suspect.
Yeah, perhaps we should show that graphic because they're last in overall ERA, last in starting pitching ERA, and 11th in bullpen ERA, and they've also allowed the most home runs by a pitching staff this year. Here is David Ortiz. Ball one.
Ooh, man, good spot. Big Papi 0 for 3 in his career against Ventura. Ortiz loves to pull it. He's looking for anything out over the middle. He likes to pull. Even here. He don't care that much about that green monster out there because he goes 420 from straight away all the way down to that pesky pulling right.
We told you in our pregame one of the keys to Ventura's success is what he has been doing from the stretch. In the last 2 starts, opponents with runners on are only 1 for 14. Down low, 1 for 15 if you include the last out recorded off Xander Bogaerts.
Well, Ventura, he's been executing his pitches with conviction, and he's really paying attention with runners in scoring position is the reason that they haven't done anything off him his last 2 starts. His focus is better.
But he has fallen behind Ortiz 3-1. You have Travis Shaw, left-handed batter, looking very hot, waiting in the on-deck circle.
Giordano, it looks like his secondary pitches, he's overthrowing them a little. He's a little bit amped up here in this first inning. He'll settle in as he goes along.
Totally different from last year to this year, but much better recently, last 2 starts. And fouled off a 3-2 count.
And he's beaten the Red Sox with his fastball. That hurt. It got Ortiz's foot. But that last fly ball by Bogaerts, his fastball beat him. He couldn't get extended, and there Big Papi found his big toe.
So the ball boy comes out to tend to Hunter Wendelstedt and also give David Ortiz more time to get that right foot feeling better.
Because I know that you never had the privilege of fouling a ball off your foot like that. But in case you don't want to know what that feels like, just go outside when you get home. Have Stacy find that hammer because I know you're not using it, and whack yourself on the big toe with that. Take a pretty good hack. That's what it feels like.
Well, the only thing accurate you had about that is that my wife knows that I don't know where the hammer is.
No, I knew that. I knew Stacy knew where it was. Same thing in my household.
Sandoval visiting with Alcides Escobar. And David Ortiz is smiling now, and I'm not sure what Torey Lobolo said to him. Torey, obviously the interim manager, taking over for John Farrell. Our thoughts and prayers are with John during this difficult time with the cancer battle that he's been going through, but they did catch it early enough that they do believe the result will be very good for John. And then Hunter giving him a little more time by dusting off home plate, and we're ready to go back to work.
How about a little cheese at the knees right here?
Right there.
3-2 on the outer half.
And Ortiz wants time, and Wendelstedt gives it to him. Sandoval at second base. Ball 4. Dave Island would love to see pitch efficiency from Giordano Ventura, meaning have him go deep into the game, give the team 7 quality innings.
You saw that look of disgust on Dave Island. That was because Ventura threw him a cutter, 92, and that's not his best pitch.
So here is Travis Shaw, who's been really hot, 6-game hit streak, 13 for his last 23, and he's pushed his average to 275. There's a good fastball at 96, and Shaw rather late. Didn't see that often in the minors. He was a career 261 hitter in the minor leagues and has 2 aboard. And there's strike 2. Here are the numbers we were talking about. And hitting .500 at Fenway Park.
you're blowing that ball by him, you throw them secondary pitches that speeds their bat up a little bit. Just make sure that secondary pitches are down, and he uses that defense.
So I'm predicting that fastball here.
Well, you would think. Salvi's got control.
He wants it up.
He's saying, let's blow it by him.
He was able to lift it in the air left side. Ben Zobrist is under it, makes the catch. Boston leaves 2. Good job with runners in scoring position by Ventura in the first.
That's because with 2 outs, they know what to do. Put the ball in play. I mean, with authority, too. Kendrys Morales, they all know what to do with 2 outs, and they are getting it done, especially here in the first inning. That's a beautiful thing. And that young Matt Barnes, you better be careful with that fastball. But here we're witnessing 2 of the best teams that have 2-out success. And ouch. What that means is, when you get 2 outs, that pitcher thinks, all right, I got him. I'm going to get a little pop up here. But when you keep getting hits like that, it really dampens their spirits. And this one here, inside heater, hit that pad, no problem for Salvi. He'll take his base.
The Royals trying to dent that confidence of young Matt Barnes, who's looking to become the 4th Red Sox rookie to earn a win as a starter this year. Eduardo Rodriguez, Stephen Wright, and Henry Owens are the other starters. Now Alex Rios. And Rex, it would be the first time 4 Red Sox rookies did that since 1969 when Mike Nagy, Ray Jarvis, Mike Garman, and a guy by the name of Ken Brett did it. George's older brother.
What an athlete, Ken Brett. What a good guy. We miss Kimmer.
I remember doing some games with Ken back on Fox Sports back in the 1990s, and Ken told me in 1969 his family came here for the playoffs, and George was just a teenager, and he said he really treated his brother to a really fun time here in Boston, Beantown.
I don't know if Ken Brett was a better athlete or a better broadcaster.
You know, a lot of people say he would have been a better position player, marvelous athlete, and a very good hitter, like Madison Bumgarner, who went deep for what, the 5th time yesterday.
Salvi got hit for the 63rd time. That leads the American League with Kansas City Royals. Now he's only been hit twice, which is kind of surprising. Some of his teammates have been plunked. Moose has been hit 12 times. Gordon 12. Morales 6.
And Ned likes the way that Alex Rios has been swinging the bat in this series. outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He's 2 for 6, but he has 3 line drive outs.
Yep. Right at him.
Down the left field line, but hooking foul.
You know, by looking at Matt Barnes' curve, it doesn't have good depth to it down. It's more lateral. And when you have a curveball that's a little more lateral in the zone, it has a chance to get hit. Just like that ball Lorenzo Cain. Now, it was a good pitch on the outer half, but a couple of them that he's thrown have really looked a little flat.
And that's why they say it's his 3rd best pitch. That is changeup. It's really above average major league. And Salvi's not going anywhere. He has 1 steal this year.
Yeah, you were asking me about his move earlier. Haas got a big base hit there, but he's got a hop move. We just saw him hop. You know, right when he comes set, he'll do that usually. It's an average move.
Back of the middle, it glances off of Matt Barnes, and that will deny him an opportunity to get the double play. They do get Rios at first base, but Alex at least does move Perez into scoring position.
You know, he still had a chance at second base if he would have been able to just gather himself and make an easy throw. He would have got Salvi, but you know, it's still early in the game. He said, you know, I'll just take the easy out I can get there. Didn't want to force it.
Now Omar Infante, and he wants desperately to end the 0 for 29 he's in right here.
No, he's due, and I talked to him before the game. He had a big smile on his face. I said, Omar, looking at you last night, looked like you had comfortable hands. Your hands were loose. You looked much more relaxed. And he just smiled. You know, he doesn't say a lot, but he smiled. And he loves that fastball. Be a good opportunity for him right here in his first at bat.
1 ball, 1 strike.
He is hungry for a base hit.
The struggle has seen his batting average dip all the way to 215, and this was a guy 2 years ago in his final season with the Detroit Tigers had his best season, hitting 318, 103 points higher than where it currently rests. There's Dale Swaim on the left, the Royals hitting instructor. Foul back.
Heads up. Wonder if Jerry Remy could make a play on that one. The Rim Dog. Outfield arms. Mookie Betts in center has 7 outfield assists. Hanley Ramirez in left field has 3. Jackie Bradley in right has 1. Be tough to score Salvi on a base hit to left field. Outfielders so close here at Fenway Park.
To left field, Ramirez at the track will pull it down. Perez back to second base. And fans, we want you to support All-Star and Gold Glove winner Alex Gordon on Thursdays in his fan section. Gordonation. For only $30, you get a seat in left field plus a limited edition Charlie Hustle brand t-shirt. And as an added bonus, the first 100 Gordonation fans get an Alex Gordon big head. Visit Royals.com/special events for more information about this exciting ticket package. Just go to Gordo Nation and be part of it all season long. And hopefully we'll have Gordo back soon because he's going out this weekend for a rehab assignment. He told us yesterday, DH first day, then he'll be in left field and probably DH again. And he'll go that until they feel he's ready to get back in there.
You know, Alex would be a draw.
Oh, yeah.
Be excited.
Up in Nebraska? Are you kidding me? He's about ready to be sainted there.
Oh, and by the way, that promo you read, Alex Gordon does not have a big head. We all know that. But a lot of the fans, you know, we see him around the ballpark with those big cutout heads, and that's what we're talking about. It's fun to see how the fans at KC have really backed their players.
Bogarts will take care of Escobar. Barnes does a good job after hitting Salvador Perez, and Infante almost hit our friends on the Boston side.
Remy wanted no part of that.
Numbers on him. He has the fastest average fastball in the league, yet he gets pulled by hitters the most. Jared Weaver, who's a soft tosser, pulled second most. So that's interesting. He's throwing harder than anyone, but he's being pulled a lot. And talking to Dave Allen, the pitching coach, he said, well, big league hitters, and Hud, you know this, are ready for any kind of fastball at any speed. Doesn't matter how fast it is. So he's been predictable, and something that they've been working on over the last 3 starts is pitching backwards, commanding that curve and changeup, which will make the fastball more effective, and then using those secondary pitches in fastball counts at 1-0, 2-1, even 3-1, throwing that curveball, throwing that changeup, and then the flip side, instead of putting a guy away with that secondary pitch, maybe freeze him up with the fastball. He thinks that's something Giordano's doing very well right now.
It's well spoken, Joel. It's exactly what hitters are looking for in fastball counts, especially when you have a plus fastball like Ventura's. And so what that does is it gets them thinking. And we all know how hitters don't want to think. So when they go back to that dugout, they're saying, watch out, 2-0, 3-1. He's bringing the hammer, and he's hooking it, and he's throwing changeups. So that pitching backwards works.
In that Angel game, he threw a lot of first pitch strikes with curveballs and put the hitter on the defensive, and they haven't even seen the fastball yet. 1-1 to Hanley Ramirez. Ooh, look at that. That is a terrific breaking ball, and wound up out of the strike zone, but looked like a strike when it was coming out of the hand of Ventura.
Well, I don't know if it is. That's a good pitch. That was a strike. That's exactly where you want to execute that pitch. See, he's saying, Salvi's telling him right now, just take your time, stay under control, take some deep breaths, quick pitch.
Way to go, Hud.
Well, that's what a hitter's thinking. Hanley was taking his time getting in the batter's box. Salvi's saying, okay, back off, back off, back off. And then here it comes. Hit right to Infante.
And I think sometimes he gets all jazzed up when he knows he's going to throw the quick pitch, and that's why Salvi wanted him to settle down before, because the one thing that Ventura told me 2 days ago when I was talking with him about Johnny Cueto, he said he was amazed when Johnny would quick pitch, he would throw the changeup. And that surprised the batter more than anything else because they were expecting it to be 95 and it was 83. I wish all our fans could be in our booth just to watch your mannerisms, your body language. You were so into that pitch when Salvi was settling down. And I think Salvi was saying it more for you than for Ventura.
Yeah, I need to back down, Fizz. I know. Can't help it.
Hosmer takes it himself. 2 outs. Well, just a reminder, Rex, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Cold water I'm drinking is pretty good, too.
So a couple of ground ball outs. It's good to see him working that low edge of the strike zone. Excellent ball strike call, and Hunter Wendelstedt behind home plate. There is strike 1.
Well, to hear Lorenzo Cain talk, not just about himself, but the whole team, they were embarrassed. They're not used to putting that kind of leather out there. And today, in tonight's game, they'll be paying attention to detail, believe me.
Lorenzo didn't talk about the team. He was just talking about himself when he was disgusted. Well, he's one of those guys who plays well when he's angry. We all remember that Detroit situation last year where Detroit was beating up on the Royals and Cain got angry and all the coaches loved it, and Cain, his offense took off. He had a tremendous September and obviously brilliant October and was the American League Championship Series MVP. Here's Jackie Bradley. Had a good discussion with this young man about a guy who is in the Royals organization. He played college baseball with Whit Merrifield. Swing and a miss. And that is a strikeout for Yordano Ventura, who gets number 1 and has pitched shutout baseball in the first 2 innings. That's good because Boston's been very hot the first 2 innings the last 2 weeks.
Can't hit that hammer, though.
.8% odds to win their first division since 1985 with a 12.5 game lead. Yes, it's expected.
Oh yeah, now they do.
Yeah, exactly.
How about before the season?
Come on, you.
Well, now if they would have showed us those numbers at the beginning of the season, we would have went, wow, you know what? I expect them to win too. But look, 3rd or 4th in their division? I don't think so. I remember laughing at that early in the season. I said, they'll win by their division by 5 or 6 games. Now, I didn't expect it to be this big a lead, but as well balanced and as hungry as the Royals players are, no one took that in consideration.
And the Tigers had won the last 4, and they restocked. Yes, they lost Max Scherzer and traded away Rick Porcello, but the Royals were the American League champions. And Ned Yost really believed that you have to go through Kansas City. And the Royals, they started believing in themselves. And I thought what happened in October, it allowed their confidence to really grow. But the fact that they were picked 3rd or 4th, Rex, put a chip on their shoulder. And they came with a little sense of urgency into spring training.
That might have been one of the best predictions that could have happened to them. Although I really don't think it mattered what anybody says. It's what these guys believe in their heart. And then with all the ads that they've made before the season, those were good enough to get them where they are. But then to get where they ultimately want to be, that ad right there in Cueto, Zobrist, those ads really gave them an extra boost.
Here is Lorenzo Cain, who started Barnes' trouble back in inning number 1, singling with 2 out to right field. Hosmer would follow with a single, and then Morales would blast one off the green monster to drive in 2.
Started Lorenzo off with a changeup.
And he throws back-to-back off-speed pitches.
Lorenzo got that base hit on that 0-2 curve.
How about a little 95 from Matt Barnes? He was the Big East Pitcher of the Year. As a matter of fact, he won the Big East Pitching Triple Crown, leading the league in wins, ERA, and strikeouts. And that one is rolled to the right side and bobbled by Shaw. They do get it in time to the pitcher Barnes covering in 2 out. The Royals' most trusted player might be this guy, Eric Hosmer, the way he uses foul line to foul line. Honda, his most trusted player, 46 base hits to left field. He got his 46th his first time up on the first pitch with Cain going and got him to 3rd. 60 to center field.
And when you have a spray chart like that, you can be proud. That means you are squaring the ball up exactly where you want it. And that's the biggest hole in the diamond, right there up the middle.
And you're having a good conversation with Boston hitting instructor Chili Davis before the game and talking about one of the great hitters of all time, Rod Carew, who is your hitting instructor with the Angels.
That's right. For 3 years I had him. Chili was there for 4 in his second stint in the Angels. And those guys, listening to them, nice change up there. Listening to those guys in between at bats, and I played a couple times a week, so I was in there listening to their heated discussions about what the pitcher's trying to do to you. It's not about mechanics. It's all about situations. You know, and every time a hitter comes up, there's a certain situation. And hitting to those situations is what him and Rod talked about so much.
Sandoval unable to backhand it, knew he had to pick it because Hosmer runs well. Likely it will be a base hit for Eric.
Oh, that's a knock all the way. Now, if that's Moustakas, Moose makes that play.
It is a base hit.
Haas going the other way. Like that. But you know, Chili's so right about that. One of the reasons why not only was Chili Davis a great baseball player, a hitter in his day, switch hitter, but he's been a wonderful hitting coach in the places he's been. And Chili talks about hands, and especially when it comes to Big Papi. Talks about how his hands at his age are still good. And the whole thing is the body. Some people say when you get over 38, 39, 40, that you have to cheat with your body to get your hands going to catch up to the 95, 96 mile an hour fastball. Chili says that's not the truth. It's all about slowing your body down and trusting those hands to catch that high fastball. And Big Papi has had no trouble with that this year. And so Chili even said about himself, he goes, Hud, I can get in the cage and I still can hit with my hands. I don't have the lower half anymore.
Is that true with Morales as well?
Oh, he is such a handsy hitter too. His eyes are great. He's able to recognize what pitches are coming, and then the situation that's up there, and then he just feathers it. He's able to take that pitch with a soft step and then take those hands to the ball to left field, and then if it's a hanger, he'll pull it. But he likes to use the middle of the field, Morales. Another guy that has good body control.
Low strike call on the off speed.
And also, when it came to talking about home run for Chile, he said something interesting to me. He said, homers are thrown, they're not hit.
Explain.
Pitcher leaves that cookie out over the plate. A hitter that's a big league power hitter knows what to do with it. So that's a pitcher's pitch there. And you know, too, Chile talked a lot about it's not always about mechanics. Okay, it's not about where your hands are and all that and where you're standing in the box. It's a cat and mouse game. It's more about getting up there and reacting. That's why we talk a lot about hitters not thinking too much up there. Just react. See, he saw that pitch up and he turned on it. He reacted. But I think for Matt Barnes, in order for him to hold the Royals down, he's going to have to bring in the secondary pitches more, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more changeups here in this third inning than we saw in that first.
Because he tried to.
He discovered they can hit a fastball pretty well.
Yeah, he said that in the first inning. He tried to establish it, but he's not going to beat the Royals that way.
That will skip away. I wasn't sure if Morales hit it on the end of his bat, but they say it is a wild pitch thrown by Barnes. That will get Hosmer into scoring position at second base. Swihart couldn't find the baseball, and when he did, Hos was already standing at second. Three curveballs, two changeups in this at bat with Morales.
And I'll tell you what, he's lucky Morales didn't get that one, because that ball was a changeup that was just floating about belt high. And he's shaking his head saying, darn it, I missed that one.
He had two of those in that first inning with two out, ripping one off the monster. Poorly played by Ramirez that allowed not only one run but two runs to score. It should be a 1-0 game, but Kansas City glad to have that 2-0 edge. And then he went after ball three, and Morales strikes out on a good fastball from Barnes. Beautiful night in Boston, Massachusetts. We'll be right back. Right stuff, low price every day. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit us at your MidwestFordDealers.com. And by Panera Bread. Avoid the lines. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. Steve Physiak, Rex Hudler, Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery with you at Austin, Massachusetts. And Giordano Ventura with a 2-0 lead going to the bottom of the third inning at Fenway. He will face Josh Rutledge and Mookie Betts and Pablo Sandoval. 1 week ago, Josh Rutledge entered last Saturday's game at second base in the fourth inning and finished 2 for 2 with 2 walks and 4 runs scored. And that's a rarity. Became the first American League player since at least 1914 to score 4 or more runs as a non-starter. It's the entire offense getting it done for you to get 4 at bats after the fourth.
Well, you know, Ventura is staying under control, and he's trusting his stuff. And you know, when you hear that term, trusting your stuff, you might go, wow, what does that mean exactly? Well, listen, talking to Ned in the dugout today before the game about trusting your stuff, he says,
there's a flare to right field, a base hit. Rutledge stays hot. He's now 4 for 8 in this series.
He left that curveball up.
And Rex, it's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag KCDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. You were talking about Ned visiting with you about Giordano trusting his stuff.
Right, not Giordano, but also Duffy, and how they've made big improvements with that. And what he was saying was, you know, when you're trusting your stuff, you're throwing everything about 90 to 95%. You're not going 100 max. And when you're wound tight, the ball should be caught by Lorenzo. When you're wound up tight, like Duffy and Ventura are early in their career, they're rearing back, throwing everything at 100%. And so he said that it's backing off, throwing 90 to 95, trusting that stuff and executing your pitches. Look at Lorenzo saying, all right, everybody off it, I got it. Now, as an example, when you go to the golf course and you go out there on the range and you're trying to hit golf balls, and sometimes you say, I'm going to crush this and I'm going to hit it as hard as I can. And when you swing, most of the time it's going to slice right or hook left. And it's the same thing Ned was saying. He says, but when you just go up there and try to swing easy, it goes right down the middle about 300. That's what he means by trusting your stuff and staying under control.
So he's probably better at 95, 96 than he is at 99 to 100.
That's right.
At commanding his fastball.
He's not overthrowing him. Now, he was in the first inning overthrowing his curve and his change, but that just will come with now he's expending some pitches. He just left a breaking ball up to Rutledge. There's the reason he was able to flare that out to right field, but for the most part, Ventura is staying down with his location.
And used this marvelous defense that is ranked #1 in baseball, defensive runs saved. Great double play combination, and Escobar and Infante at the short and second base spots.
And Giordano has induced 7 ground ball double plays this year. And for Sandoval, he's grounded into 14. So he's got him set up here, especially ahead in the count 1 and 2 for something he wants to keep down, and he'll roll over. That means roll his hands over and pull it.
How about that low target that Salvi? That is a beauty.
Yep. I mean, that curve outside of that one pitch to Rutledge, it's been very nice. He's finishing it down around the ankles.
So Xander Bogaerts, the batter. He flied out to right field his first time up. 10 for his last 23 against Kansas City this year. And there is strike 1. They go back to last year. I mean, this guy has just, he and Betts have just been on fire against the Royals, along with Blake Swihart, who came into this one 8 for 10 against Kansas City. And they're all kids. Infante will take care of this, and Ventura with 3 shutout innings. Can't touch it. On Wednesday nights for Student Night and Local Music Showcase presented by Inc. Magazine. Mingle with friends and enjoy food and drink specials exclusively for students in the outfield experience while listening to live music from local Kansas City bands. And Student Night returns this coming Wednesday against Baltimore, featuring music from the Fantastics. Get your tickets now for just $8 at the box office or at Royals.com/Student Night. Mike Moustakas will lead things off in the top of the 4th inning. Popped up to the catcher, first time up. He lined a home run down the right field line, just inside that pesky pole. It was the Royals' lone run in their 4-1 loss on Thursday. Seems like opponents attacking Kansas City with more off-speed pitches lately, and there's Moose going opposite field, but Betts is there with that great speed. 1 out. The Royals are hitting like .319 off of fastballs, so obviously they're going to see more curveballs and changeups and sliders.
Yeah, and you know, that's would probably be the similar numbers to any team because that's the premium pitch. The pitchers have to establish that so it makes those other pitches look good. But the part with the secondary pitches is just have to discipline yourself a little bit more to lay off it. And sometimes an aggressive hitting team like the Royals have a hard time doing that.
Salvi squares it up, but again Betts is there. They've got to find the gap somehow because they've hit pretty well in this inning by Moustakas and Perez, but one a fly out, one a line out, 2 gone with nobody on.
You know, when fans come to the K, especially as big and beautiful as that yard is, you see all that green grass out there and just 3 players out there. You're thinking, man, how can they not get more hits? But these are tremendous running athletes that are out there, and if there's any air under the ball, they close in a hurry and make those plays. It's amazing.
Yeah, I remember broadcasting the first time with Sparky Anderson, and he's up in the booth. He always watched the game from the dugout, and he's looking down at the field, and he's going, man, there's a lot of green out there. How did I only hit .216? I'm telling you. Here's Alex Rios.
You know, if you can command your secondary pitches, especially that changeup, is very effective, especially for left-handers, because most managers play all right-handed batters against them. You can have success, just like Wade Miley in Game 1 and Henry Owens in Game 2. Both of those lefties were able to execute their secondary pitches right where they wanted them, down in the zone, and they had umpires that were calling those low strikes, and that was one of the reasons why they were able to stay under the bats of the Royals and keep them quiet.
Base hit to right field by Alex. And Rios is 8 for 8 stealing bases. I'd really like to see him pressure Barnes in here and divide his attention. By the way, you can vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com, and you will be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Pedro Grifol, who continues to fill in for Rusty Kuntz. And Rex, you were telling me that Pedro calls Rusty every single day to get information, feedback on how he can coach first base better.
He does, and our outstanding Joe Goldberg has a special on that, and I'll let Joe tell the people.
Oh, okay.
Joe Goldberg always is.
Can you at least tease our fans with?
I'm teasing you with Joe Goldberg. Yeah, Joe's got great stuff, man. He brings in 3 or 4 nuggets every game for us. Yeah, I'd like to see Rios attempt to steal, but he doesn't have a big lead at all.
He has 252 stolen bases in his career. He's not a blazer, but a very smart base runner and reads pitchers very well. He's not been caught this year. I think Alex wanted to see his move. What did you call it, Hud? A hop-off move?
It's a hop step. Yeah, he hops off the back of the rubber.
Barnes in the last few innings has been able to get ahead of the Royals, and that has helped him out after he gave up 2 runs in the first.
Well, you definitely can see the adjustment that he's made, Matt Barnes, after that first inning when the Royals were all over his fastball.
He's only struck out 1 after he struck out 7 in his last start. That is foul tipped into the glove, and that will do it. Conte is out. So are the Royals. To the bottom of the 4th, we go 2-0 KC.
That one just got Hud out of his seat. It also got a packed crowd in Pittsburgh out of their seats. Starling Marte with the walk-off. The Pirates well in command right now at the top wild card spot. Ben Zobrist trying to get a command in left field. He'd only played 5 games in left field at Fenway Park in his career before today and only started twice. Both of those starts were back in June for Oakland. And sure enough, Hud, his first game out there, it found him in the first inning in the corner. It was a little bit awkward. What happens to him tonight? Up against the wall. He said that he didn't feel comfortable when he got that start in June for the first time, but it was more because of his health, and he was battling injuries and all of that. He really does believe, though, that he'll get a comfort level, and having played it a couple of games back in June will help him. But he said you really, really need to be able to react to the ball off the bat much quicker than you do in other stadiums.
Athletes make adjustments. Zobrist, he'll have no trouble.
Ortiz to right field, just beyond Infante and in front of Alex Rios. Well, one guy who manned left field for a long time, we told you, is celebrating his birthday today, 76 years young. Yaz, the 1967 American League Most Valuable Player, 3-time American League batting champion, 18-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glove winner.
Be great if Yaz made an appearance.
He lives in Boca Raton, Florida. Is at Fenway quite often.
Freddie Lynn's here. We've seen him on the board the last few games. The Red Sox, they bring in some of their former star players and they entertain guests.
Boy, what a year he had at 75, Rookie of the Year and MVP.
Only one of the players done it since.
Ichiro
Suzuki, likely be the first Japanese born in the Hall of Fame.
No question.
Yeah.
He combined his hits in Japan and here in the States. Eclipsed Cobb. Outside corner, beautifully thrown with a little late life on it. Travis Shaw popped up to left field, his first time up, and that ended the first inning, leaving runners at first and second base. Keep her down. Let's see if he can get 2 outs on one pitch. Well, he did keep it down a little bit too much so, and it's a 3-1 count.
I like the Sox look on Ventura, though. I like him showing that blue. Pants, blouse right below the knees. That's a good look for him.
Right down the middle, and Shaw was taken.
And that's how every minor league player looks in the Royals system. You can't wear your pants down to your ankles. You have to show some blue. That's part of their discipline that they have in the system, and that's the right way to go about it.
Shaw pops it up, foul territory, long run for Moose, but he gets there. Nice play, and there's 1 out. And Rex, we just came from the city that originated that idea. Cincinnati started it in 1866. They bloused their pants, wore them halfway, and that's why they later would call them the Red Stockings.
Well, the reason I say that's the right way is that you want to establish in your minor league system how you want it. You know, you control those players, and you, as an organization, you want to instill that discipline in them to know, hey, look, this is how we wear them. This is how we wear our hair. You know, the jewelry, all that stuff they try to monitor as well. But, you know, that establishes that. Then if you do get to the big leagues, then you can wear them how you want.
So what you're saying, dress for success.
That's right. It starts down there when they're young. You tell them how you want it. They don't tell you how they want it.
Here is Hanley Ramirez. 1 hit in his last 17 at bats, grounded out to second base. His first time up. You saw the numbers, good power, 19 home runs, 53 driven in.
There's Brian Butterfield. His father, Jack Butterfield, was George Steinbrenner's right-hand man with the Yankees. And when I signed with them, I went to their minor league system. And his father would walk up and down the calisthenic aisle.
Moustakas, second one, first base, a little late.
There's 400 guys in that minor league system. And he's walking up and down them aisles, and he's looking at haircuts. He's saying, your hair's a little bit long, fella. I want you to get that haircut. Keep those pants bloused. You know, you run it the way you want to run it.
And our general manager, Dayton Moore, has that kind of discipline. And as a matter of fact, you can read about it in his new book, More Than a Season. The book explores the intersection of faith, family, and leadership, and the process of rebuilding a championship culture in Kansas City. 100% of the proceeds from book purchases support Dayton's charity See You in the Major Leagues. So for just $25, purchase your autographed copy today at Royals.com/morethanAseason. And that's really to help young people in their sports career.
Every Royals fan should have a copy of that book. It's so entertaining, and it talks about how you develop the players, how you scout them. You know, there's a lot of great information in there. And if you don't have one of those copies, you got to get one.
Blake Swihart grounded out to first. What I was going to ask you, Giordano, we have seen him go with that 12-6 hammer of a curveball, but this is more of a slurvy breaking ball that he's showing tonight.
Well, you know, sometimes he'll take a little velocity off, and when you take velocity off of that pitch, it has a little bit more depth to it.
Fastball line to left field by Swihart, who stays hot against Kansas City. That's now 9 hits and 12 at-bats against the Royals.
That's hot. Salvi, he's sitting right out there. That's where he wants it, just to elevate it a little bit. You know, when you're able to pick out a fastball even at 98, look how short he is with his swing. He's not trying to do too much with his body. He's just going to lay his hands out there. And that's what you do when you face a guy that has that kind of fastball. Let him supply the power.
And now we shall see another hot hitter in Jackie Bradley Jr. Good pitch, 98 miles an hour, strike one. Bradley, even though his batting average isn't that high, 247, he was recalled from the minor leagues on July 29th, and he has 16 hits in his last 36 at bats. Good breaking ball, 0-2. Well, Ventura's been good tonight with runners on. And the last 2 starts, we told you, very good against Detroit, and the Angels just 1 for 14.
Outfielder playing him to the off field. And that's because of the velocity on that fastball. You want your outfielders to play a little bit to the opposite field, because the hitter most of the time is going to be behind that laser.
He's gone fastball, curve, fastball to get to the 0-2 count. And then decided to change his eyesight upstairs. Still has options ahead in the count. Young man, first round pick out of South Carolina. He struck him out. Great off-speed pitch to Jackie Bradley, and Ventura with 4 shutout innings, doing quite a job with men on base.
Ooh, my. He's working it tonight. And I'll tell you, the 2 runs early was extremely important. Not just to jump out in front of the Red Sox, and they've been getting out in front of the Royals. It's Ventura was able to toe the slab in the first inning with the lead. And so far, he's holding it. So that offense, they're trying to get back on Matt Barnes. And Barnes has done a pretty good job of mixing in his secondary pitches, and he's been fortunate. Now the Royals are still lining some balls out there. They're hitting some balls right on the nose at people, but it might change here coming up soon.
Kendrys Morales was watching from the dugout, and he said before the ball game, if we're patient, we can get to this guy. Here is Escobar to lead things off, because Barnes in his last start threw 3 scoreless innings before allowing 5 runs on 5 hits in the 4th inning. Now we're in the 5th. And this is the 3rd time through the Royal order. Popped him up. Bogarts. Let's go to Joel.
All right, Fizz. Pedro Grifol has been filling in as the first base coach. Talks to Rusty Kuntz every single day. Our University of Kansas Hospital injury report. Well, we hear that Rusty Kuntz, who's been battling that sinus infection and been very weak at home, but getting stronger, is going to hopefully join the team on Monday. I don't know if we've ever done a coach's injury report before, or not too often, but I can honestly tell you guys that I don't know if I've ever had more inquiries from fans about the well-being of a coach, from umpires on multiple crews asking how Rusty's doing. This is one of the most popular coaches in all of baseball. And in talking to Pedro Grifol, he said, you know, I talk on the phone with Rusty about 45 minutes every single day. He said, yes, there's extra preparation for me, but he's just handing me all the information. And what also helps is that these outfielders are so well schooled already by Rusty. It's a well-oiled machine. But he said, I was talking to him the other day, and it's almost like he had a replica of Fenway Park in his house, the way he could know every single nook and cranny.
There's a base hit. Ben Zobrist is on the board. But you're right. I mean, his middle name should be Joy, because he's in a good mood every single day.
Well, one of the things about that, Pedro was telling me, and we're going to watch this pitch again now. That was an off-speed pitch, and Zobrist stays inside of it with his hands, and a beautiful stroke right there, opposite field. Talking with Grifol, I said, well, do you carry a notepad with your first couple of conversations with him when he went down and you were out there? I know you're not used to being on the field. Did you write stuff down when he was telling you this on the phone? And he says, I did at first, but then there was so much. I'm not a professional journalist. I couldn't write all that stuff down. So, you know, like you said, like Joel said, the players, they all know. They all have a feeling for what they're supposed to be doing. So I just kind of take what he tells me and feed it to the players the best I can. So Pedro's doing a nice job. He said he likes being on the field, out there in the action. You're in the game when you're in the coach's box.
Royals certainly an action team. This is a pretty good action situation if they wanted to hit and run with Zobrist and Kane.
In Lorenzo Cain, his first at-bat, we saw that nice little curveball on the outer half that he took to right field. And then Zobrist, that opposite field hit. This is what Dale Swain wants, especially on secondary pitches, for the hitters to try to wait long enough and just trust it and just wait a little bit, a couple of ticks longer, and use that opposite field. Makes them quicker inside.
They used it to their best of their ability in that first inning. All 3 hits were to the opposite field, including the blast off the Green Monster by Kendrys Morales.
Dale has the perfect mentality for a hitting coach, manager coach. He's just very calm, low key. He doesn't have a lot to say, but when he says it, they listen.
Dave Island, Dale Swain, cut out of the same cloth. I mean, they're tough guys. This could be 2. It is. Matt Barnes is allowed 2 through 5. Royals lead it. Ventura coming back for his time in the 5th. chronicled earlier tonight Giordano Ventura's struggles with runners in scoring position. Usually in critical situations, he's a very competitive guy, but the last 3 starts, opponents batting .087, 1 for 9 tonight. And Rex, as you said, he looks so relaxed on the mound.
Well, this is the time of the year, and it's perfect timing for him to start settling in. Finished strong. He's gone through a lot this season, especially early in the year, establishing his territory. Dave Island's done a wonderful job with him, helping him mentally more than anything else. I mean, when you're blessed with those kind of pitches already, it's nice to have a pitching coach like a father, like Dave is to him, and also Volquez, Cueto, Guthrie, all the other starters that all have a chance to share with him, and it's starting to come in now. We're starting to see it.
Well, you'd really like to see it this time of the season.
That's right, just in the nick of time down the stretch. Right. See, now hitters, they have to be. There's a cutter there. They have to look for that fastball. They all want that pitch, but his curveball has been really good tonight. He's done a few changeups, but that's why they're not able to get him. It's because his secondary pitch is really good. The curveball's looking good. Now he's setting everything up with that above-average fastball.
Well, Ventura led American League rookies last year with 22 quality starts and really finished well. Final 12 starts, he went 7-2 with a 2.63 ERA, and then had some great games in the postseason, particularly Game 6 of the World Series, beating the Giants before a packed house in Kansas City. Boy, was that a great memory for him.
Okay, Rutledge has been swinging a pretty good bat here the last few games. 3-2. He just needs to challenge him with a fastball here. He got a base hit on his curveball.
Outside corner, strike 3 called. 96 miles an hour.
Folks, there it is. Cheese at the knees. No chance for Rutledge. You got to go.
You like the way Salvi helps out home plate umpire Hunter Wendelstedt?
Who doesn't love Salvi? Heck, we love him, and we don't even get to throw to him.
We get to visit with him every day, though, and he's a joy to be around. And another good breaking ball in there for strike 1. Well, this is what they call pitching backwards, and he's been having a lot of success with it.
Yes, he's all deep in the mind of the Red Sox hitter. Let's find out. They're all going, wow, you know what? We just got to go up there and look for the fastball and hope he leaves one out over the plate. Look at that. It's no problem.
Good breaking ball. So he goes breaking ball, fastball, breaking ball, and Mookie Betts swings and misses. And he's getting a lot of strikeouts and off-speed pitches.
It's because of that blazing fastball. That's what that is. Now here's the first strikeout of the night. Okay, that's a pitch down. Second one. They're all looking fastballs here. Okay, now that one, he took a little bit off of it. There's when we're talking about taking something off of that curve. It gives it a little more depth. There's the real snappy, the hard curve. And that one looks like a fastball to the hitter, and then the bottom falls out of it.
5 strikeouts tonight in 4 2/3. And here is Sandoval. And he's probably handled him the best. He's 1 for 2, a double his first time up off the wall, and then pounded a couple foul before Ventura struck him out on an off-speed pitch.
I talked to Pablo before the game today around the batting cage, and I congratulated him on his October performance in the World Series. How I don't even know what his numbers, what he hit, 420?
429.
Yeah, he hit over 400, and you know, he got a big smile on his face, and he said, you know, playing in front of that Kansas City Royals crowd was special. He said the energy in that building was incredible. He said especially Game 7. We were all on the edge of our seats. You know, he's talking about the Giants and sitting in that dugout. And he goes, when that ball got hit to the wall and Alex Gordon was coming around third, he said, I thought he could have scored. And I said, Pablo, come on. If Alex makes the last out of Game 7 in the World Series at the plate, that would have been a bad thing. You know, so they had 1 out left, and they trusted Salvador Perez, and he popped it up to him. And he made the final catch. But he was quick to praise the crowd in Kansas City.
Time called. And Salvi wanted to make sure he was on the same page with Ventura. And when you talk with Salvi about Ventura, he said, I just want, when I make a suggestion, that it's just that, a suggestion, that he has total conviction in what he is about to throw. There's the captain. Pablo Sandoval may be the only guy in baseball who swings at this and gets a piece of it. That was almost in the dirt.
Well, you know, he's a bad ball hitter, like a lot of the Royals. A lot of the Royals can foul those pitches off too, and Escobar puts them in play and gets an infield hit on those.
Quick pitch. Royals 2 runs on 6 hits. Boston no runs, 4 hits. Tried to tease him upstairs, and now the count has gone full.
Yeah, there's nobody on base here. There might be a little bit too much thinking going on. For Pablo, those folks there, they're dressed for winter.
Well, they're Panda. They're for Sandoval fans.
That's right.
And he has battled Ventura the best of any of the Red Sox tonight. Fouling off tough pitch after tough pitch, and Ventura already at 84 and not yet through 5.
I bet you could get an inside heater on him here.
He went for the breaking ball. 4 straight strikeouts for Yordano Ventura, who has shut out Boston through 5.
Seniors. Oh, man, that ball's coming in there. Nice breaking ball tonight.
Our contestant is Brenda Thornton from Hiawatha. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Brenda, you get $100. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Brenda will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Royals. We had a winner yesterday in the 6th inning when Escobar went deep to center field. Matt Barnes first pitch, and Hosmer takes high, ball 1. Ball, 1 strike.
A lot more changeups that Barnes is bringing in. Haas is due for a long ball.
He has 14 this year. He's driven in 72 and 2 for 2 tonight with 2 base hits to left field. So that's raised his average to 318. He started the evening in 5th behind Kipnis, Cruz, Fielder, and Brantley. A strike.
Yeah, that's a good spot for his fastball in on Haas. Try to hook him here.
Again, he hits it to the left side. This time Sandoval plays it well and throws him out. Fans, don't miss the final T-shirt Tuesday of the season coming up September 1st as the Royals host the Tigers. The first 10,000 fans to the gates will receive a special T-shirt commemorating the Royals franchise first 4 winners, courtesy of Washburn University and School of Law. For tickets, go to Royals.com/T-shirt Tuesday or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Franchise 4. Morales 1 for 2. Doubled in both Royal runs in the first, struck out swinging in the third on a high fastball. We had a game earlier this year where we drove in all 5 runs of a 5-0 Kansas City victory. There's that breaking ball that misses outside.
He wanted that one. That was a little backdoor curve. Almost cut it for a strike.
Back in the count at 2-2. He has not walked one Royal. He's hit one batter. That was Salvi Perez to open the second inning. And he was trying to come inside there and got away with his release point. Missed by about 4 feet his location. Moustakas to follow, then Perez.
Okay, see, there's a fastball situation there, and he went with his changeup. Barnes is showing pretty good command with that changeup now. He's able to put it where he wants to, and that's another form of pitching backwards in the fastball count.
One out walk, his first walk of the game.
Fizz, up in the upper deck here at Fenway Park, there is a huge gathering of Royals fans. Look at them, all from Kansas City. About half of them were down the field the day before BP, and they were so excited. I mean, they were so, and you know, they said, oh, we've been here all week and we're so hopeful for a Royals win. I said, folks, look, we got the right matchup tonight. Our guys are going to get the job done for you. And they were saying, who's going to drive the bus? Who's going to drive? And I said, Ventura's driving. Just get on board.
Well, Ventura doing an excellent job thus far. 5 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts.
Another baby Royal fan coming.
Yeah, we were talking to several before the ball game from Lee Summit, from Overland Park.
All over the place. Good swing by Moose. Boy, she's a doll. Way to go, Dad. Happy fans. Two-strike approach. Moose is looking to a base hit to left field. And that's what Dale Swaim says is going to get Moose more productive. He's got to start going back to left field again.
He threw 21 pitches in the 3rd inning. shot at left field, and they're giving him that entire side of the diamond with 3 infielders on the right side, 1 on the left. He tried to fire it down that left field line.
He tried to pick off one of his teammates on that. That ball ricocheted in that Royals dugout.
He just needs to be a little earlier on his swing.
They had some guys chucking and ducking in there.
Let's go back to that last foul ball that you
Let's
talked about him taking a shot at his teammates.
Sure was. Now, he didn't mean to do that, but that's that right approach. Look at the head was down on the ball, and those guys in there said, what was that? That ball just missed Dave.
Beautiful approach by Moustakas.
There you go.
That is professional hitting.
There you go. Not thinking, just reacting. Now watch it. Okay, bat moving. He's relaxed. Take back, nice, easy. Look at that, very easy. Nice front side there. His head's on the ball. He's got a good little back leg bend there. Just relaxed and just served it out there. That is Moose. That's what made Moose his season this year. That's what's made him a more confident hitter, especially from an average standpoint. And they want to see more of that in the 6th hole where he's been batting.
He was at the 2 spot until the Royals acquired Zobrist, and Ben went to that very quickly because he gives the Royals a better on-base option. Embry is beginning to warm down in the bullpen as Matt Barnes laboring a bit here in the 6th inning.
But you know, Moose is hitting .214 with runners in scoring position, and that's what Dale Swaim says. He's got to start going to left field more, and he's going to bring those numbers up. He's going to start driving them in. He gets too pull happy when runners get out there. So that's a beautiful swing for Moose. Hope that'll lock him in.
Salvador Perez has been hit by a pitch and then lined out to center field. Ball 1. He tried to tie up Sal inside first time and hit him on that left elbow pad. And he chased a slider away.
Well, that's what he's doing. He's setting up for that pitch there. He's busting him in, getting him conscious of inside, and then he's working his changeup away. Salvi 286 with a runner in scoring position. They need some more runs for Ventura.
They want it off the plate. And he does hit it well to right field.
Get up!
And that ball is gone! 3-run home run by Salvador Perez.
Yeah. Ventura can use some more runs. A 3-run bomb by Salvi, his 18th on the year. Oh my, that ball wasn't walking. Look at this. That back-to-back beautiful swings to the opposite field. And again, Royals offense doing what their hitting coach wants. Use the opposite field, and Salvi showing some mega pop to send Matt Barnes to the shower. Locate saying, yeah, Salvi, go ahead and drive.
And that is a career high for Salvador Perez with his 18th home run. Brenda Thornton from Hiawatha, you get yourself $100. We'll be right back. to right field.
And on the outer half, Salvi likes to pull him, and way to represent. Royals fans love it. Entertaining the multitude here at Fenway Park. It won't be much longer. We'll be hearing those "Let's Go Royals" chants right here in Fenway Park. You can't contain them, Fizz. They show up all over America now.
Our Chevy call to the bullpen is Heath Hembree. We saw him last night throw a perfect ninth inning to finish off last night's victory over the Royals. He was on the disabled list with right shoulder inflammation from June until July. But this is a guy with a very good fastball. He was picked up from San Francisco last year before the trade deadline and the Jake Peavy deal. Peavy going from the Red Sox to San Francisco.
He's got a slider and a change. He'll go with that low to mid 90s. He might get a little bit upper 90s in him.
Well, like many of the Red Sox pitchers in this series, trying to go a lot of off-speed breaking balls to the Royal hitters.
Look at Johnny Cueto easing in on that conversation.
Those are two brothers, and they are funny together. And there is Alex Rios with a line shot to center field. So he is 2 for 3, and that's 4 hits in this series for Alex.
Again, another hitter going to the opposite field, not trying to pull the ball. Man, Rios, maybe he's starting to get it together and click now. For the longest time, he's been pulling off the ball with that shoulder, trying to hit that long one. And now tonight we're seeing exactly what Swing's been preaching.
Do you remember the playoffs last year? Salvi would have his phone camera on, and he'd be taking pictures of Lorenzo Cain, and Lorenzo would be saying, "You turn that camera off. Turn it off right now." And there's like two brothers battling, and Salvi would be laughing, and the guys in the clubhouse would be laughing, and Lorenzo said, "He wears me out." He was the needle for everybody. That's one of the reasons the Royals have such great team chemistry. There's a blast to left field, and this time Ramirez does play it well off the wall, racing to third as Rios. He's there, and Infante will stay at first base.
Oh, there it is. Infante says, "Wow, thank you. That felt good." 0 for his last 31. And he snaps it. Put a dent in that wall. Ramirez played it perfectly. Oh, way to go, Infante.
So Hembree has come out of the bullpen and added a little more fuel to the Royals' offensive fire. As Kansas City with 4 straight hits. The first 2 off of the starting pitcher, Matt Barnes, and these last 2 off of Heath Hembree. Now Escobar fouls one off, strike 1. No lead safe in this tiny ballpark, particularly the way the Red Sox have been swinging the bats. I told you since August 7th, the Boston team has been averaging close to 8 runs per game.
Well, Torey Lovullo, he's seen the Royals' frenzy hit before. Now we're starting to see a little bit of that now. Something in the last couple games we didn't see because the Red Sox pitching executed and they put their pitches where they needed them. Escobar, good chance for a sac fly or better. Get something up. Ooh, that hurt. Swihart took that one off his right fingers, his throwing hand. Little slider.
Rios single up the middle, went to third on the blast off the monster by Infante. To right field. Bradley chasing it, but it will find the seats. Rios was going to tag up. That young lady picked up the foul ball as if she was saying, should I give this to someone? It's like she didn't want it. Oh, she is giving it away. She picked it up, goes, "Who wants this? It's not mine."
She's so kind. That's nice.
0-2. Let's see what Embry has to offer. Escobar. Esky with 38 RBIs on the season, like to make it 39 here.
Nope.
Tied him up.
That's the second out. The Royals must do the damage with 2 out against Hembree, with Zobrist coming up. Ben with a line single his last time up to left center field. Zobrist hitting over 350 with his new ball club. He missed a month this year because of knee trouble with Oakland. When he came back, he's really been a hot hitter ever since. More than a 2-month stretch. One and one. The Red Sox have tied a season high 4-game win streak. Won 6 of 8. The Royals a 2-2 trip after winning the first 2 games in Cincinnati, very long ones, and then losing the first 2 games here in Boston. The Royals are a running team, second in the American League in stolen bases with 82, and Lovello twice has had his pitcher throw over. A 3-1 count. He got that first strike over against Zobrist, and he has missed on the last 3. And Zobrist fouling a couple off. Does have a base open. And Zobrist skies one in the air, but plenty of room for the right fielder Jackie Bradley, who makes the catch. Salvador Perez gets the big hit for the Royals in the 6th.
And Hosmer, last Friday at the K, he wanted to know if there's any air in there. No, there's nothing but nitro in those cannons. And now Salvi, ooh, watch out. It bites.
Players to watch on DraftKings. Go to DraftKings.com and enter promo code BRoyal. Ventura, shutout baseball through 5. A.J. Pollock 2 for 3. Dozier 1 for 2 with a walk and an RBI. And Sonny Gray has been terrific his last 4 starts. He leads the American League in ERA at 2.04. All right, it will be Yordano Ventura against Xander Bogaerts. Ventura has struck out 6 tonight, including the last 4 Red Sox he faced. He struck out the side in that 5th inning, getting Rutledge, Betts, and Sandoval.
Just love his tempo. His tempo is excellent tonight. He's getting that ball right back from Salvi and gets right back up on that slab, saying, "Here it comes again."
You know, this may sound interesting, but I talked with Don Wakamatsu, the bench coach, a lot about this, about breathing, about hitters, the way they breathe. And I thought Ventura, when he's been in crisis, his breathing has been rather rapid. He just seems so relaxed and nice and even. Ujjayi breathing. That's what they say in yoga.
Okay.
You've gotten the last 3 days, I know.
Well, look, whatever it is working.
There's Don.
Because Ventura has really got a nice tempo. He's executing his pitches. Fastball's been good. Anywhere from 92 to 98 tonight. He's mixed in a few cutters, but his curveball really has made a difference.
A little flare to right field. Good pitch by Ventura. But Bogaerts was able to break his bat and then flare it into right.
Good fastball. Can't do anything about that. Got in on him. Some good tailing action. Stayed up. That's the only reason he's able to get that in there.
Yeah, when that bat hit ball, it almost sounded like somebody taking a bite out of a piece of celery with the sound it made when it broke. And now Ortiz, who's been on twice with a walk and a single.
No chance. Bogaerts tries to steal second here. Ventura is one of the quickest home in the league, and Big Poppy's up and they're down by 5. There's no business running. If he does go, he better be 100% sure he can make it.
You just wouldn't think with your big RBI guy up that he would go and the team trailing by 5 runs.
Right.
Big Poppy was 75 driven in this year. 492 career home runs. And then he knocks one into center field. Bogaerts will round second, make it to third. So first and third for Boston, and Big Poppy is 3 times he's been on base, a couple of hits and a walk.
Well, we talked about Big Poppy's hands and how he's able to slow his body down and just use those and trust him, and that's what he does here. And the fastball that's elevated. For the last Red Sox hits, he was able to jam him and get him in, but that's because it was elevated.
And this is where Dave Island would love to see Ventura minimize the damage, even if he allows a run. Let's get some outs. Ryan Madsen begins to warm as Ventura's pitch count getting up there at 93, and still has not gotten an out in the 6th inning. The Royals have been able to solve Shaw of late. He is 0 for his last 5 with 3 strikeouts. Strike 1.
See how he gets the ball and gets right on the slab? He's taking notes from Johnny Cueto. It's another thing he's picking up. No more posturing around out there. Yeah, Salvi's saying, all right, man. Look at him saying, keep that shoulder in there.
And the job that he has done from the stretch. Why should you let the hitter think on your time? That pitcher on the mound controls the game. Foul off. they've been able to get Shaw to pop it up when he's elevated his fastball HUD about letter high.
If he's going to throw that pitch up, he's got to get it up high enough where he can't flare it out there to some, like the last two hitters.
He may go breaking ball. Nope. Well, it is, but he's just kind of casting that changeup. Two and two.
Like the fastball here in this situation still. You know, you're throwing that breaking ball, it might speed his bat up. You could, if it's up, stay with that heater.
A good backhand by Salvador Perez. Now it's a full count. He's lost command of that fastball in this at bat. His plate appearance.
His changeup and his mechanics were off there. He got off balance.
Next pitch will be his 100th of the ball game. Pulls it to the right side. Infante gets one. Escobar will not make the throw back to first. A run scores to make it 5-1. Shaw didn't hit it hard enough to get that double play.
No, it was that breaking ball though. See, and that slows down a little bit, and the hitter can get to that. But you know, he just pulls it. If he hits it to Infante right there, they get a double play out of there. They were able to get one. Red Sox got on the board.
RBI number 13 for Shaw. Well, twice Ramirez has grounded out. Ventura wants that here. Ball one.
For that last pitch there, you could see Ventura talking to Salvo. And they only talk when the hitter is looking down, looking at his foot. I'll see Hanley's not even looking at the pitcher. So, and the pitcher knows that. So sometimes catcher and pitcher, they'll talk verbally. Even though it's not loud, but you can read each other's lips. They're thinking they're on the same page.
Center field, Kane there, 2 out. So Ramirez has his best at bat of this series, but lines out to center field. Whew. Fans, are you a fan not only looking to attend the Kansas City Irish Fest, but come to a Royals game? We'll get your tickets today for Irish Heritage Night at the K, Wednesday, September 2nd. Starting at just $22, this special ticket package gets you both a game ticket, and you get to watch the Royals play the Tigers, and a single game admission to the Kansas City Irish Fest the following weekend. Get your tickets today at Royals.com/special events. Blake Swihart, man who has had the Royals number in his young career. This year 9 for 12 against Kansas City. Last night 4 for 4, 2 doubles, 3 runs. He's still just a .276 hitter.
What's wrong with that? It's pretty good numbers.
I'm just saying.
Well, you said
he's 9 for 12. What is that, like 750?
He's pretty good, man.
So let's bring it down to the 500 points below that.
Right, but this young man,
yeah, he's a good player. Number 1 prospect on the team, in the organization.
Looking for that job.
I'm just saying he's in a tree right now.
He
wants Ventura to shake that tree and knock him to the ground.
Get out of this inning here. Some nice cutter.
Swihart, as we mentioned last night, part of that great 2011 draft class with Barnes, Swihart, Owens, and Bradley all making it to the big leagues. Royals have had great success recently in their drafts, along with international signings. Guys like Ventura fouled off. I mean, Giordano was signed for only $28,000. And the scouts did such a fine job. They saw a young man who was very small, only like 135, 140 pounds, throwing in the low to mid 80s, but they loved his arm speed. 3 years later, he was throwing 100. That should do it. Infante to Escobar. Inning over. Boston scores one. Good job tonight. That's 3 straight very good starts by Giordano Ventura.
Going to the opposite field. They're doing it with authority, too. Nice. Keeping them away from that fastball, trying to pull it. They're using the large part of the field. Look at him go tonight. Moustakas. Salvi with a 3-run bomb. All of them using the opposite field. That's exactly what teacher Dale Swaim is telling them. And it's a beautiful thing as they're supplying runs for Giordano Ventura. And now Giordano's becoming a student listening to the sensei. Dave Island saying, yeah, stay down through it. That big fastball right there. And a nice job by Ventura tonight.
Hud, the Royals have 10 hits in this ball game, and only 1 has been pulled. The Infante shot off the wall for a single.
Yeah,
good job by Ventura. He's got a big smile on his face.
Had a feeling tonight the Royals are going to get locked in offensively. And you know, Ventura, after Johnny Cueto's very strange evening last night as he wasn't on his game, it happens to all the best of them. Now they're talking, and this is some good stuff going on now. Ventura's sharing what he learned out there tonight.
Giordano said Johnny has made a major impact in the way he thinks. And thinks about sequences that are totally different than he had patterned himself. But Johnny has very good reason on why he'll go with a certain sequence, certain situations.
Looks like he's talking about, pitching inside. Getting those guys inside with that kind of fuzz on your fastball, man. They got no chance away with his hooks.
Kane to right field. Bradley chases it to the corner and then makes a marvelous catch up against the wall.
Ball had some slice on it, and I thought it was going to make the seats. Lorenzo Cain was hoping it would too. But Bradley had saved a homer. Looked like to me it was close.
I think that was going to wind up foul, but still, that was a terrific play by Bradley. So Hembree will come out as a lefty, Hosmer coming up, and then they want to turn Morales around. So we're anticipating a lefty coming out of that bullpen, and we will see that man when we come back. and make great plays anywhere. Left field, center field, right field. That was left field last night.
Yep, his athletes can do anything. They make plays. They can make adjustments with their body. They're able to control their body, and with that speed that they have, it really helps them.
Well, here is Craig Breslow. He is our Chevy call to the bullpen. He's not won a game this year, but he's done a very good job for the Red Sox through the years. He is a graduate of Yale, Hud, and he graduated in molecular biophysics and biochemistry. I looked up the explanation of that, and it would take about a paragraph to break down and describe what it is.
Well, he's too smart to be a ball player.
Exactly.
He's not overpowering. He's got a cut fastball, 88 to 91, a big curve and a changeup for righties.
And there's a couple of wicked smart guys with Breslow on the mound and Chris Young, who went to Princeton. Chris Young did his graduate thesis while riding a minor league bus when he was in the minor leagues, and he would write it every night in the bus, and he wrote it on the social impact of Jackie Robinson on the United States at the time back in the 1940s. Breslow did his on a thesis of I have no idea, because I can barely spell his major. So Hosmer will fly out to Mookie Betts for out number 2. And Breslow will turn Morales around to bat from the right side. Kendra's on twice with a double, 2 RBIs. He also walked and scored on the home run by Perez in inning number 6. That home run by Perez eclipsed the Royals total. They had all of last year, 94, 95 home runs, and that was the 96 for the Royals this year.
There's that changeup. Trying to keep him off balance down and away. It's a good spot. Morales dangerous from both sides of the plate. A lot more at bats, batting left, facing more righties. But he's equally as strong on both sides.
To second and fielded by Rutledge. Embry and then Breslow get the Royals in order in the 7th.
Around the league, New York 6-2 over Cleveland. Minnesota right now leading Baltimore. Texas shutting out Detroit. Randy Wolf's debut for the Tigers. And Los Angeles right now down 3-1 to Houston. Our Mazda game break takes us to New York. Very special day there. Brett Gardner, he has the home run, and the Yankees beat the Indians. Luis Severino, excellent on the mound, the rookie. But what made it special? They retired the number 20 jersey of Jorge Posada, guys.
Very deserving catcher, part of a lot of their world championships. Ryan Madson will come on in the 7th inning for Kansas City. He is pitching in his 55th game this year as a 2.32 ERA. And he will face Jackie Bradley, then Josh Rutledge, and back to the top of the order, Mookie Betts. And Madsen has done a marvelous job with the first batter he's faced. As a matter of fact, Hud, they're batting like 150 off of him.
Yeah, you know what? He gets right in there. He's getting ahead. That's so important. Now he's got ahead. 0-2. Fastball 90 to 97. He cuts that fastball. Nice overhand curve. And he's got a great changeup. There it is. Uh-oh. Caught Salvi's thumb.
We've seen both catchers take foul balls off that right hand. The one glanced off the back of the hand of Blake Swihart. They seem to get a little more of the bone of Salvador. Look at that right thumb.
Yep, if you don't have a high pain tolerance, a high threshold for pain, you better not be a catcher.
Nope. But my goodness, are they important. Like a goalie in hockey, like a quarterback in football. They are in the middle of everything. The Royals with 2 runs in the first. 2-run double by Kendrys Morales, then a 3-run blast by Salvador Perez in the 6th inning. Austin's lone run came in the bottom of the 6th on a ground out by Travis Shaw that plated Xander Bogaerts. But Yordano Ventura escaped any further trouble and went 6 strong innings tonight.
There's Brock Holt chilling on the pine, and his name was in the lineup originally tonight, but like most players this time of year, they all have a little something going on nagging, so he's just got to take a chill pill. There's no really rush for him to come back, and they'd like to have him. He's such an action player. But I had a chance to talk to him before the game, and he talked about Salvi got hit again. Man, oh man. Brock Holt was talking about Ned Yost picking him for the All-Star team. That's a shot off the mask that time. And how proud that he was that Ned thought enough of him to be picked for that All-Star team. And you see the little cutter here. The cutter puts Salvi flush on the chin. Now the chin is a different part of the mask. Now you get hit in the high forehead, that's okay, but that chin is, what happens when you take them off the chin, it affects the concussion area type things. I think they're just a little bit nervous about that.
And you know what he's saying? I'm okay, Poppy.
Yeah. So he's giving him all the tests right now. Seeing if he can move that jaw, looking back and forth. Now the eyes. Let's check the eyes. Make sure to take care of their All-Star and Gold Glover.
Drew Butera is going to start loosening up just in case. He's down in that Royals bullpen, where he's been a very valuable backup. Ned Yost has been able to rest Salvador 11 times since the beginning of July, and I think that's a big reason why Perez's offense has come back, and he's hitting over 300 the last couple of weeks.
Well, you talked about valuable. You got to say the same thing with the Royals athletic trainers.
You got that right.
Nick Kinney, Kyle Turner, and the rest of the staff that's in there, they're working overtime every single day. That guy has no rest, none. He's responsible for all of the players and coaches.
And you love to hear it with the new players who come in. They said, wow, what a training staff we have. Jeff Blum, Seth Greenberg, Ryan Stoneberg, who's the strength and conditioning coach. And they said these guys are on the cutting edge, but you have to be that way if you're going to be proactive. As Stoney says all the time, he goes, we're about prehab instead of rehab. Let's get guys and have them be strong and have them be flexible. Just in case something goes wrong, they're going to bounce back that much quicker. So Madsen was able to get Bradley 0-2. Now he's fought back to go 2-2. He's fouled off some very tough pitches. And then he just blows him away with a 94 miles an hour fastball, saying, well, enough is enough.
That was tough on Bradley, but I think it was tougher on Salvi. That at bat there, that got him on the thumb. You see this one that bounces. Catches him right on the thumb. Okay, you need a little bit of time there, and then this one here catches him on the chin. The steel bars on that mask, Salvi's mask, sure has made a difference for him this year. A lot better and more durable, and they absorb the blow better than the titanium masks that they're wearing modern day. And look, those titanium masks might be a lot lighter, and catchers like the comfort that they provide, but they sure don't provide the protection that steel bars do.
Yeah, because the steel has a little give in them, and here comes Moustakas charging. He takes that on a tough hop. Good play by Moose. Rutledge is out number 2.
Moose does such a great job of reading balls, and he comes in and he attacks them. He gets that short hop, and that's an easier pickup for a player than that set back for the long hop. And then he's able to throw off balance. And you know, being a quarterback in high school was so beneficial for Moose. Not only, you know, football, it does a lot for you as a player, and it's a team sport and makes you tough and all those things, but being a quarterback, you know, you got to throw on top, you got to stay on top, and you throw. And Moose, we've seen him make those plays down the line, going into the dugout over there off balance, staying on top like he threw, and also throwing off balance.
I remember reading about him as a sophomore in high school. He was one of the top sophomore quarterbacks in Southern California. Then as a junior, he really wanted to commit to baseball, but he has a bit of a football mentality. One ball, one strike to Mookie Butt. That's the Royals have been able to keep him quiet. We told you he was 14 for 23 against the Royals starting tonight, but he has flied out to right, popped up to center, and Ventura struck him out swinging last time up. Now it's Madsen versus Betts. Just low. Ryan has held opponents to a .207 average and posted a 2.35 ERA in 9 August appearances. Blasted to left. Five to 2, and Betts with his 11th home run of the year.
Now Madsen tried to get him with that fastball in, and Betts got him. Fifth home run given up by Madsen this season. That ball bounced back on the field. Ben Zobrist picked it up, threw it back up over the monster.
Here is Sandoval. Pablo 1 for 3. Doubled his first time up, and then Ventura struck him out in the 3rd and the 5th. Now Salvador's home run awfully big because the Royals went from a 2-0 advantage to a 5-0 lead, and the Red Sox have responded with single runs in the last 2 frames. High in the air to right. Plenty of room, though, for Rios. Alex will make the catch. Ryan made one mistake, tried to come in with a fastball, and the red-hot Mookie Betts blasted it out. Your strongest fan photo to hashtag KC Data Strong for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. And I think one of those guys might be our executive producer, Larry Mago, who is a huge Mike Moustakas fan.
That is Larry.
And Mike will lead things off here in the top half of the 8th inning. Moose 1 for 3 tonight. For each single home run, KC fans, Chug-a-brewski. FSKC, Fox Sports Kansas City, and we're proud to bring you this game tonight from Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. The Royals leading 5-2, trying to get their first win since 2013 in this ballpark. You might remember after the All-Star break last year, the Royals came in, did not play well. Boston played very well, swept the series. Then Kansas City lost in Chicago, held a team meeting. And after that, the Royals really played well. They won like 18 of 24 games and were back in first place by the end of August. And then the Tigers won on a surge. The Royals kept chasing them, and finally they were able to nail down their first playoff position in 29 years in Chicago. Wade Davis getting ready for the bottom half of this inning. With 2 strikes on Moose, now they'll send Sandoval over to the right side, so 3 infielders right, 1 left.
Ooh, that changeup then hung up in the middle there. Moose elected not to take the swing at it. See how they're playing him? Doesn't matter. Plenty of lanes anywhere. Moose is getting most of his hits out to left now. That hit he got earlier tonight out there was really good. 2 strikes.
3-2. Royals would love to get some insurance runs here in the 8th inning after Boston scored in the 6th and 7th. Breslow came inside, and Mike fought it off left side.
Breslow's doing a nice job, though, locating his fastball in the inner half. And he's trying to pitch to their defense. It's playing him to pull. Not overpowering fastball, but relies on location and command.
Lefties hit .294 off Breslow this year. And he misses. Good plate appearance by Moustakas with a leadoff walk. And just like we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Who said, you know what? Our guy Ventura's been driving the bus from the pitcher's mound. He needs a little extra support. Why not? 18th homer. Career high for Salvi. Oof. Just ain't no air in there. A little bit of nitro in those pythons from Salvi.
Breslow stays in for the right-hander Perez. We thought they might go with a right-handed bat, or excuse me, a right-handed arm, because you've got Perez, Rios, Infante, Escobar, 4 straight right-handers, but Torrey's staying with Breslow.
Riders are hitting .282 with 5 homers off Breslow this year. So Salvi, if he can get a good pitch, he might could go over that monster and have a multi-homer game.
Didn't miss by much. 2-1. Good to see Kansas City's offense picking things up on the road. They're 4-8 their last 12 road games before tonight, being outscored 61-33.
Salvi didn't want that one.
Well, that was ball 3.
Yeah, he's shaking his head.
Breslow will stay there, trying to get him to hit the ball on the ground and get the double play.
Yeah, he'll put one a little further out there.
Hit to Sandoval, knocks it down, and has no chance to get anybody. I'm sure he was thinking double play when the ball was struck to him, but Sandoval could not find the handle, and that is his 14th error this year.
And a double play, but instead he's playing patty cake, baker's man. By that time, Salvi's in there at first base. He couldn't get one out. Yeah. Rats.
And now Alex Rios will try and bake a cake as fast as he can.
This Rios is going good now. He's locked in. Maybe he can get him a pitch. Get some of those runs back.
Rios 2 for 3 tonight. We told you he has had a lot of hard outs in this series. He now has 4 hits in his 9 at bats in this series. Breslow took the loss in Sunday's 10-8 defeat in 12 innings versus Seattle. Started that 10th inning with the score tied at 8. And he actually threw a scoreless 10th and 11th. And then started the 12th but did not retire a batter, allowing the first 4 batters to reach.
See if Rios can think right center, react in. Still be thinking that opposite way, because that changeup, Breslow wants Rios to swing over that and try to pull it. Keep that same approach, and if he makes a mistake turn on him.
Rios with a base hit up the middle. Moustakas comes charging around third. He will score, and that's a big insurance run for Kansas City, who pushes the lead back to 4.
Rios staying hot, staying in the large part of the field, opposite field. Look at that inside-out swing. Timing was perfect. Another well-struck ball by Rios. He's been all over the baseball in this series here. Had some bad luck in the first couple of games, but some line drives right at people. He's able to score Moose.
He's 5 for 10, and that's his 4th 3-hit game this season. And that will bring Omar Infante up. And this is much like that 12th inning against Seattle we told you about Breslow. He didn't record an out, and the first 4 Mariners reached, well, the first 3 Royals have reached in this important 8th inning. And that swings the momentum back to the Royals. One ball, one strike.
We showed you before the game the Boston Red Sox defense -6 runs saved, and largely because of errors like Sandoval's there. They had a chance for a double play. Really would have helped Breslow. Those plays behind the pitcher, sometimes that hurts. The Royals got a nice little rally out of it so far. They're not done. 3 for 9. Runners in scoring position.
Infante to center field. And backing up is Josh Rutledge to make the catch. Finally an out recorded by Breslow here in inning number 8. Fans, you can follow live Royals baseball with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected to the Royals all season wherever you are with the MLB.TV game of the day, in-game highlights, live look-ins. And all you have to do is go to download MLB.com at bat. And of course, that's the #1 app for live baseball. The Royals now plus 52 in defensive runs saved this year. They had a rough defensive night last night. They went in plus 56 last night. They suffered 2 costly errors.
It's a rare night. Happens. They've moved on. Playing airtight tonight.
And apparently one of the errors was changed. They ruled it on Escobar on the throw from Orlando, and they changed it to the error on Orlando. Davis on the right, Hochevar on the left, warming in the KC pen. Good off-speed pitch by Breslow.
And that's exactly what he wants the right-handers to do, is try to pull it.
Kansas City trying to solve a Boston team that's had their number the last 2 years. KC 2-10 versus these Red Sox. Fought it off. They'll have one more tomorrow afternoon, 12:30 Kansas City time on Fox Sports Kansas City. Eddie Volquez will go for the Royals against young Eduardo Rodriguez, and they just rave about that rookie left-hander. Breslow has thrown a total of 32 pitches in this game. Number 33 is low in a full count. And then we come home, and we're anticipating great crowds for that Baltimore series. That's a rematch of the two teams that met in the American League Championship Series last year, won by Kansas City, clinched at the K. Chris Medlin will get the start on Monday. Good battle between Escobar and Breslow. Well, Breslow, the veteran, and rookie Swihart were certainly not on the same page, so calling time. And the Royals, knowing that the New York Yankees won earlier today, Severino beat Cleveland 6-2, and the Royals started the day with a 6-game edge on the team with the second best mark in the American League. And Ned Yost, of course, wants home field advantage, knowing how important Kauffman Stadium is to his ball club. Tracy feeds on their energy. A good pitch by Breslow, and he strikes out Escobar.
Pull the string right down the middle. Esky, he didn't want to go on it. That was a pretty good pitch to handle.
Zobrist tonight 1 for 4, a single back in the 5th inning. The Royals with 11 hits in this game. Ball 1. One ball, one strike. Really a beautiful evening tonight in Boston. We've been here in August where the temperatures have been in the mid-90s, humidity the same, but very pleasant day. And there is a pitch. A strike and a 1-2 count.
Oh, it's a gorgeous night here. See Breslow on our Fox tracks there. He's living on the edge.
Well, the advantage should be Zobrist's way, 2-1. And now he bangs one down the left field line, but that will hook and go foul. And the young fan in the upper deck had it in her hands and then lost the souvenir.
Ah, if Zobrist
Right there.
Yeah, if he waits a click longer, he's got him a homer.
Well, you know what? It was deflected off of her hand, so that was going to be a tough catch.
You notice that wasn't a Royals fan that missed that ball.
No. Fielded by Breslow. He'll throw out Zobrist. That will do. But the Royals get a run on a clutch base hit by Alex Rios up the middle that scored Moustakas. The Royals in front by 4. Find your summer of performance with great deals at the Dodge Summer Clearance Event. And by AT&T Uverse high-speed internet. The Uverse revolves around you. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. Here in Beantown, Royals leading 6-2, looking for their first win in Boston since 2013. And they have a great bullpen to protect that 4-run lead. Wade Davis, who has a 1.09 ERA. 28 hits allowed in 49 and a 2/3 innings, so opponents only batting 160. You have to like their chances with number 17 on the hill.
The Red Sox know what he's bringing. 90 to 97, velocity, cutter, overhand curve. And he's excellent with his command and location. Changes speeds when he needs to. That cutter has been really effective in the low 90s.
We will face Xander Bogaerts, then two left-handers in Ortiz and Shaw. Bogaerts singled his last time up to right field. Ortiz followed with a single, and then Shaw with the ground out scored their first run. And when you see the lowest ERA by a reliever, you have to go back to 1914, and the guys whose names in that span, Eckersley, Wade Davis in that mix, and he has a 1.09 ERA this year. It was under 1 for the longest time, and then even Superman runs into kryptonite occasionally.
That's right.
Teased Bogaerts away with that cut fastball. Xander has a brother, Jair, who was also signed by the Red Sox organization but traded to the Chicago Cubs. So now they have one twin in the American League, another twin playing for a National League team still in their minor leagues. And he got him to pop up into shallow center field, and Fonte will make the catch. Now you have the back-to-back power guys, but Wade Davis has done an excellent job solving left-handed hitters this year. Even though he's a right-hander, he's holding lefties to a 163 average on the season. 16 hits in 98 at-bats. That's 7th among Major League pitchers with at least 90 opponent at-bats by lefties.
Well, he's not afraid to come inside on him. Now, he's got a good fastball, and he uses that inside, just like he got Votto on a 3-2 cutter on the inside, which I thought was maybe one of his best cutters of the year there in Cincinnati in that final game.
And he had to face Votto, even though we thought he had struck out Suarez, the previous batter. And I was doing radio that night. You and Rhino were doing the TV, and you showed that Fox box, and it looked like that he got a strike just above the belly button to Suarez, which should have ended the game. But he struck out Votto. Game over. Royals won. Wow. That looked pretty good. Ortiz has been on all 3 times with a walk, a couple of hits.
Coming right back at you.
Man, that's a good 4-seam fastball.
Sure
Perfectly
is.
located.
Well, right down the middle, but Salvi almost held on to it.
I thought it was kind of inside on it. There where Salvi had placed his glove. That'll work away. 3-2. Boston has a lot of tough batters. They're veterans. They foul off tough pitch after tough pitch. That's why Ventura was over 100 after 6 innings. Lugano did another very good job, a quality start, allowed 1 run in 6. Ortiz with a long duel. Next pitch will be the 9th. Davis has been all over the map trying to get him out. It's a walk by Ortiz, who he's been on 4 times tonight. Fans, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Royals. Steve Physiak, Rex Hudler, Joe Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery with you, and of course Goldie and Monty will be along with the Boulevard live show as soon as this game is over. Here is strike 1 to Travis Shaw. Brilliant start to his young Boston career, but the Royals have been able to get him out the last 6 times. Shaw was a 9th round draft pick out of Kent State.
That looked like that was a good pitch there. He wanted that one. And Davis, you know, the reason his numbers are so good over the last couple of years is he's able to repeat his delivery. And he's very good with his mechanics. He's perfect. His shoulder is driving right downhill. He stays on top, and he's able to command it wherever he wants it.
Did Shaw go? They appeal.
Yes.
All right, so Travis Shaw is the first strikeout victim of Wade Davis tonight.
Thank you, Bob. There he is, going right to his targets, able to finish off with a breaking ball. Is down the dirt. Salvi, excellent job of positioning himself, keeping it in front of him, so no advancement by the runner.
And sometimes the taller pitchers have a more difficult time repeating their delivery, and Wade Davis 6'5", but
he uses that height for that angle, though. See, he gets such a good angle on his pitches. His little downhill angle. And he's always in balance.
And like you said, the consistency in that delivery.
Yes.
Hanley Ramirez lined out sharply in the 6th inning. With the ball and the screws 0 for 3 and 0 for 10 in this series. Two balls, no strikes. We've heard a few boos for Ramirez from the Fenway Park faithful. They don't like the way he has played left field. Big long-term contract signed in the offseason. Now a new management team in place. And he blasts that one to left center field. Zobrist and Kane have to play it off the wall. Kane plays it nicely. Ortiz will only make it a third. It's a double for Ramirez. And he gets his first hit of this series.
Yeah, that ball is right out there over the middle of the plate. Gets his hands and arms extended, laced it. Kane played it perfectly. If he'd have made more of an accurate throw, he might have had a chance to get Ramirez at second base.
So with 2 in scoring position, Davis wants to lock in and get the rookie Blake Swihart. Nine for 13 in his career against Kansas City.
God, what makes Swihart so good is his short, compact swing.
Strike 1.
Good cutter.
Boy, a lot of guys' cutters are in the high 80s. His is in the 92, 93, 94 range. It's like a cut fastball velocity that Mariano Rivera used to show in New York. We'll try it again. Fouled off. It was the same pitch. Not in quite the location, but now with an 0-2 count. It is Davis with the options. Perez is going to stay inside on Swihart. And he got him to pop it up. Infante. Inning over. Boston leaves 2. We head to the 9th inning. It's the Royals 6, the Red Sox 2.
Waiter, check please.
Royals offense having fun tonight, awfully strong, and they have gotten it together with 11 hits on the evening. And you see what they have done. Game summary: the Royals scoring early in that with a 2-run first inning. Then they had the 3-run home run in the 6th by Salvador Perez, and they added one more in the 8th. And we shall see a new pitcher in Tommy Lane. Tall, lean left-hander from St. Charles, Missouri.
He'll go 86 to 91 with his cut fastball, curveball, and a changeup. Let's see if he can leave something out over the plate for Locane.
Lorenzo 1 for 4 in the night. He singled his first time up and scored in the double by Morales. And then Jackie Bradley made a terrific catch in foul territory in the 7th inning, leaping up against the wall. Once again, we're seeing a lot of these opposing pitchers attack the Royals with off-speed stuff. The Royals have seen the second most cut fastballs and the fourth most changeups in baseball. And Owens and Miley were throwing a lot of off-speed pitches down to get the Royals out. They came away victorious in the last two nights, 4-1 and 7-2. But the Royals, as you talked about, Hud, they had to make the adjustments, and they did. What is it? 9 of their 11 hits have been to the opposite field.
Well, those first two pitchers in this series, they were very good at their location, like you talked about, their command, their changing speeds. They were really good. Here's inside the numbers what you're talking about. And, you know, they're trying to do the best job because they know the Royals are a frenzy hitting attack type team on fastball. So they are.
The Royals have seen the least amount of fastballs because teams respect their ability to smack that hard straight one.
Well, the lefty they're going to see tomorrow is not a soft tosser.
Oh, he's good.
Yeah, he's got a good heater. He'll top 97, 98, and that's good. That's another good matchup for our guys.
He was acquired from Baltimore, Rodriguez was, in that Andrew Miller deal. And they say he has #1 stuff. And Dave Dombrowski, their new president, general manager, said that is his #1 ambition in the offseason, to get them a #1 guy. And Kane goes up the middle for his second hit. The Royals are an outstanding 63-1 after the 8th inning this year. And they have a 4-run cushion. They'd love to add to it. A lefty Hosmer to face the lefty Lane, to be followed by the switch hitter Morales. Hosmer hits his first 2 times up and grounded out, flied out. 2 for 4.
Some let's go Royals chants going.
Every ballpark we go to, more and more blue. Great to see. Good slider, strike 1.
They are. Now they're spread out all over the ballpark, but that group of fans there, they're all in one section, making some noise.
I remember in the World Series out in San Francisco, the Royals had a tiny little section way up in deep left field. But our friend Maury Carlson said we were loud and we were beginning to tick off the home faithful. There's a ground ball struck to the shortstop. He was able to touch and hold on to second base and then make the throw to first. And Lorenzo Cain may stay at second base because the Royals may challenge this.
Well, Mookie Betts, middle infielders, they're really great with their footwork. Now, I'll be surprised if he wasn't on this bag. It was a close play there. Excuse me, that's Xander Bogaerts. Yeah, these guys know every little nick and yeah, he's perfect. They have good feel with their feet.
They love his future. Just 22 years old. He's hitting .300, playing very strong defense this year. But if you ask scouts that we've talked to if a gold glove is given to an American leaguer, it should go to the Royals' Escobar. He has been absolutely fantastic, and Escobar has been even better in the clutch, game on the line. Now Kendrys Morales, who had a big hit back in the first inning.
If you folks just joining us, it was Morales early playing a little ping pong off of the green monster. Good stroke. Now Ramirez, he butchered that play there and allowed a run to score from first base. Hosmer all the way around. Off the starter Matt Barnes.
He had a good rip. And Morales, why not? Nobody on, 2 out. Go ahead and launch one. He's hit 13 home runs this year. He's driven in 85. Ooh, just a bit outside.
That ball missed by a mile, didn't it?
Not by much. Kansas City trying to win their 74th game of the year. Move back to 26 games over 500. They started the night with a 12.5 game lead over Minnesota. And then one more tomorrow here in Boston. And we head home for a very short homestand, just 4 with Baltimore. 3 night games Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then an afternoon affair on Thursday. Did not go. Volquez tomorrow for Kansas City, and then Monday through Thursday, Medlin, Duffy, Cueto, and Ventura for the Royals. To see the K packed. Slow roller. Lane will field it. Throw. Got him.
Oh, too bad. Morales don't get many infield hits. Had a good chance there.
The Royals will go with Kelvin Herrera with a 4-run lead. Come back.
Look at that play by our Royals fans. Woohoo! Nice.
Red Sox going to the bottom of the 9th inning. Here is that last pitch thrown to Kendrys Morales. Kendrys bidding for an infield hit. Need another half step. Kelvin Herrera comes out of the bullpen, and he has been rock solid this year, making the All-Star team for the first time and going to Cincinnati, pitching now in his 57th game, an ERA under 2, and opponents only batting .181. He threw a scoreless 8th inning on Wednesday night against the Reds, allowing a hit, a walk, and recording a strikeout. It was his 44th scoreless appearance this year and 14th since the All-Star break. And there is strike 1. Jackie Bradley's the batter. Jackie part of 2 College World Series championships at South Carolina, along with Omaha storm chaser Whit Merrifield. We were talking about their friendship a little earlier, and Jackie asked me, he said, have you ever met the Merrifield's parents? And I said, no, I haven't. And he said, you have to. They are wonderful people. So Whit Merrifield, if you're listening, Jackie Bradley sends hello to your mom and dad.
Whoever says hello with that 98.
Got that right.
On his hands right there. He's got an excellent changeup to go with it. Occasional sliders we've been seeing more in the second half from him. It's been an effective pitch. Keeps him off the other ones.
Yeah, Doug Henry said Dave Island started working with him before the All-Star break on that pitch. And he was very, very pleased with how quickly he picked it up. Feeling that there was too much separation in velocity from fastball to curveball, and a little closer in velocity in fastball to slider. And there's a nice big hop for Escobar. 1 out. A reminder, Joel and Monty will be along on Boulevard Royals Live as soon as we complete this game. You know, Rex, we started tonight and we were thinking the Royals sent 2 very good pitchers in Danny Duffy and Johnny Cueto in the first 2 games of this series. And then Yordano Ventura, who was the #1 starter to begin the season. And he has had his rough patches this year. And you said, I want to see how he does to end this losing streak. And obviously it was a modest 2-game losing streak. But he came out and he pitched beautiful baseball.
Oh, he sure did. And he was so calm and he was so confident. He executed his pitches, man, as good as we've seen. And he's been good his last 3 starts. And he's starting to get his rhythm. That means trouble for the rest of the American League. Ooh.
So Josh Rutledge is hit by a pitch.
He's got away from Herrera there.
Just clipped him on the left tricep. And that was a fastball that ran inside. So 1 on with 1 out. And now we head back to the top of the order. With Ventura now, his last 3 starts, he's allowed only 3 runs in 19 innings. Victories by the Royals over Detroit, over the Angels, and tonight hopefully over the Boston Red Sox as Greg Holland begins to throw down in the Kansas City pen. Betts takes a strike, and Herrera has an 0-2 count. Not only has Ventura been encouraging, but also the statistic we talked about with runners on. He has been even better with runners on the last 3 starts. Ooh, a little bit high. Not by much, though. That was that slider, the new pitch he broke out after the break. Betts 1 for 4. It was the home run his last time up. A blast over the Green Monster.
Salvi took another one. Rough night for foul tips for Salvi.
I'll say. Herrera did not like the location when Perez had set up low and away, so he goes behind the mound and dusts his hand off that rosin. It's a better grip. Grounded to third. Moustakas goes second. 1. Infante's turn. No, he threw it away. But it bangs against the fencing. And no advance by Betts, so no error for Omar. quite frankly, I thought Omar took a little bit of a chance because I didn't think with bet speed they were going to get 2.
No, that's just one for sure there. There's no chance, especially a breaking ball that was down and he was already leaning out over running. And, you know, Infante's doing all he can to save Herrera pitches. Absolutely no chance.
So Sandoval is up. He got a double his first time up, then a pair of strikeouts, then a fly out to right. Ball 1 high. Kansas City looking for their first win at Fenway in 2 years. Out of play. They got 2 in the first on Morales, double off the monster. Then Perez hit one to the opposite field, a 3-run home run over the short wall and right. And Kansas City added 1 more in the 8th and a single by Rios. Alex with 3 hits in the night. Betts was running. The Royals don't care. No stolen base. Getting that fastball up in this 9th inning. There's Kelvin Herrera. That time well located, great velocity, and a full count.
Yep, Herrera wants to do the same thing here. Just finish him off if you can. Royals fans up in that section, and they are all on their feet. And they were entertained to a great Royals game. And listen to the Royals fans coming up now. You're starting to hear them. They're vocal.
Up in that left field section, they're all standing.
That's what they wanted to come to Fenway for, to see their team win. Now I asked a lot of them, I said, what are you guys doing here? Well, I said, we're here to see a win, and we're not happy they didn't win the last 2. I said, folks, it's okay.
You get greedy.
Yeah, they're kind of spoiling you.
We'll get back into the seats, and they'll keep playing. 3-2 count. Royals by 4. Bottom of the 9th inning here at Fenway Park. Betts at second base. He reached on the fielder's choice. Pablo taking inside heaters on his hands and just flicking them foul, trying to stay alive. Pablo has seen a ton of pitches. He had that great duel with Ventura back in inning number 5, and then Ventura slipped one by him and struck him out swinging. Just low. Ball 4. So Ned Yost will go to Greg Holland to get the final out of this inning. It is now a save situation. So we'll take a break. Royals trying to complete this 6-2 win. They need 1 more out. out of the bullpen, and the Royals with the best record in the American League. New York did win today, so KC right now with a 5-win edge. And Holland this year looking for his 28th save.
Wow, let's see what kind of fastball he's got tonight. Usually it's low to mid-90s. Slider's pretty quick, and we'll see how that break is. Is it down? We'll have to see. Strike one. He likes to get in there ahead. He's got one out to go. I like his chances.
Well, he's well rested. He had an excellent game on Tuesday, nailing down his 27th save, and there's a ground ball base hit up the middle. This will score a run. As Betts comes around, as Bogarts picks on the first pitch from Holland to make it a 6-3 ball game.
Well, he knew it was coming, and remember, look at him. See how he dives out over the middle there. He's looking for anything middle away, and he's really been on it. I mean, he's not missing. He nearly knocked Holland off the mound.
And now all of a sudden it's become a dicey situation with the tying run coming to the plate. And David Ortiz, Mr. Clutch. Ortiz is perfect tonight, 2 for 2 with 2 walks. Ball 1.
Big Papi 0 for 1 in his career against Holland. See Infante at the top right of your screen there. He's shallow right field. You know, Big Papi likes to try to pull it. Holland's got to be able to stay away and also move that slider down.
And it is down, and it's a 2-0 count now. Ortiz in his 17th Major League season. There's a strike. He stayed with the slider on a fastball count. Holland got a couple of strikeouts in that save on Tuesday. Three and one. Another great slider, well located down on a 3-1 count.
Oh man,
Papi was trying to yank it out.
That was a perfect placement there. Big Papi says, all right, let's see if you can do that again.
Didn't miss by much. I think Greg thought he had the outside corner, but Wendell's cat said outside, bases are loaded for Travis Shaw.
Oh, I mean, look at all those pitches. He's really pitching Big Papi carefully there, and that was off the grid.
The Royals have been able to control Shaw since the middle innings of last night. In the first inning he doubled, and since that time he is 0 for 7 with 4 strikeouts. And he goes out to the first pitch and pops it up. Mike Moustakas, game over.
Yeah. Hammer time.
Greg Holland nails down his 28th save. Morales with a couple of RBIs. Salvador Perez had 3 with a home run, and that man, Alex Rios, with 3 hits and an RBI. And the Royals are now 74 and 48, and they get their first win, Hud, at Fenway Park in 2 years.
Hey, it'll work. Fantastic job of the bus driving job by Giordano Ventura, and he sparkled early. The Royals got out early. First inning, 2 runs. That really helped him settle in. But Salvi, he was the offensive driver with that 3-run home run, his 18th on the season. Fans, they're taking it in as they watch their team walk off with a beautiful win.
So the Royals are now 74-48 this year. They started the day with a 12.5 game lead, and I think Ned Yost put his arm around